these processions in days gone by. They were there to project the monarch's power. The maces are there as symbols of the monarch's power. So that's why they are really properly on display all along the route. All is ready, so the coach will be on its way very soon. This is Queen Alexandra's state coach, by the way, and dates from 1865, converted into a state coach for the use of Princess of Wales, who later became Queen Alexandra. Fantastic view of the Palace of Westminster. Sand, which has been sprinkled liberally by the Victoria Tower so that the carriages can get enough grip as they turn that corner to the right. So the imperial state crown is on its way back to Buckingham Palace. And it's time, now that those departures have been formalised, why don't we just pop into the central lobby and join Sean?
Thank you, Hugh. Well, the MPs have gone back to their offices. Of course, the debate you've been talking about on all the politics of the Queen's speech takes place this afternoon. And the Lords too. I'm joined by two Lords. Here we have Una King, Baroness King, and Michael Berkeley, Lord Berkeley. I can't help noticing that you are in all your finery today, Una, but not you, Michael.
I slipped up. You're supposed to sign a form saying, can you book some robes? And I just left it a bit too late.
Did they let you in? Did they let you in the chamber?
No, I was watched from around. So I watched on television, thanks to the BBC.
Oh, because it is your first Queen's speech. You were appointed in March.
Absolutely. Yes. No, I'll come another time. But I must say I was overwhelmed by the occasion. And in fact, it's an overwhelming place to join. Very wonderful.
Una, give us a sense of what it was like in the Lords today, because you've seen the Queen's speech from both sides, both as an MP and now as a Lord.
I have seen the Queen's speech from both sides, though I have to say this is the first time I've actually hired the robe, so I haven't been allowed in before either. You see, Lords do suffer social exclusion on occasion.
Well, there's only space for 200 seating in there, and there are more than 700 Lords, so it would be hard to get everybody in.
There are a lot, not all active, but those that are active, take great pleasure in being able to see the Queen turn up and say what the government's going to do. I mean, at the end of the day, let's not forget the power is in the House of Commons. These robes actually mask a lack of power. However, what we do have there is an extraordinary display of pageantry. We've got tiaras galore, we've got horses and carriages, and the Queen. We've got the man on the order paper. He's called he's the gold stick in waiting. That's what he does, is he carries a gold stick around. And I think it all goes to show that that's what Britain does really well, that people want to know how's it going to affect their daily lives. And when you take the robes off and actually look at what's in the Queen's speech, there might be a bit less smiling going on, I think.
And all the politics will be looked at and analysed over the next few days and weeks. You're a crossbencher, Michael, so I suppose you're looking at it from a very different angle, aren't you, when you're looking at refining legislation, which is the job of the Lords?
That's right. Well, the luxury of being on the crossbenches is that you can be swayed by the power of the argument. You don't have whips pushing you one way or the other. And hopefully that gives you a certain distance, which you can look at things objectively. I have to make a maiden speech soon, so I was listening for opportunities which would give me a kind of launching pad.
It's next week, isn't it?
It is indeed.
What's it going to be about?
Well, I'm sure it'll be about the arts, because I'm a
composer
and a broadcaster, and I feel I was appointed to represent, and that was the good thing about the Appointments Commission, is they do look for holes in their coverage, and I think they wanted some more expertise in the realm of the arts and broadcasting.
Well, good luck for next year. Get in and rent the robe in time if you can.
I'll move all fast.
You can have this one.
Oh,
I'll
thank you,
share it.
thank you. A bit hot though in there, I'm told.
Just a little
Was it?
bit.
Yes. Michael, thanks very much. Join us a little bit later. We're going to be talking to a man, actually, Hugh, you've been mentioning quite a lot. The Duke of Norfolk, the Earl Marshal, will be here telling us about the ceremony.
Sean, thanks very much. Well, as we've just heard, it's a new experience for some involved in today's ceremonial. However, for Her Majesty the Queen, it's an event that she's extremely familiar with. In this coronation anniversary year, we look back at many times that the Queen has been here to open Parliament. The state opening of Parliament in November 1952 was the first official duty Elizabeth performed as monarch, and the occasion attracted significant interest. Despite the wintry weather, large crowds lined the streets, many of them children on half-term holiday, eager to see the young Queen. Once the procession had returned to Buckingham Palace, the Queen and Prince Philip appeared on the balcony with the young Prince and Princess, granting the public one of the first glimpses of the new Queen and her family together. And then in 1958, the public were able to get even closer.
Today, for the first time, this ceremony is being watched, not only by those who are present in this chamber, but by many millions of my subjects.
The occasion is often a family event for the Queen, regularly accompanied by the Duke of Edinburgh, and, right up to the present day, by other members of the family as well. The ceremony focuses attention on the Queen's role as head of state.
My government will seek to play a full and constructive part in preserving peace and justice.
During the 60 years of the Queen's reign, there have been many changes on the Commons front benches, but throughout them all, Her Majesty has been commended by most parties for her sense of dedication and duty. The event is an occasion to witness the Queen at her most stately and regal, but for the monarch, it's the most important occasion to focus on her constitutional role in an ever-changing United Kingdom.
And thus, in Elizabeth, by the grace of God, Queen, are vested majesty and radiance in harmony together.
Well, you join me with somebody who's had a very, very large responsibility that make sure today goes well, and that's the Duke of Norfolk, the Earl Marshal. And the job has been in your family for how many centuries?
It's been in my family for 500 years, since Richard III, 1483. Off and on. Of course, we were in the Tower of London a little bit during Henry VIII's reign when we lost it. Right. But it's been hereditary in my family since 1672.
So it'll pass to your son as well, presumably?
It'll pass to my son, presumably, or my daughter, who knows?
Ah, OK, primogeniture law, of course, yes. So tell us a little bit about how it went today from your perspective.
No, I think it went extremely well. The Queen actually arrived at the royal entrance about 3 minutes early, which is quite unusual. And that caused a few little hiccups along the way. I think Black Rod had to wait before for prayers to finish in the Commons.
There was a little frisson here in the central lobby when he was delayed slightly. It was only momentarily, though, wasn't it?
Well, the great thing is you have to improvise, because you can try and plan these things as much as you can, but in the end you have to sort of make it work on the day.
Yes. How important to you is the ceremony and the pageantry that surrounds the Queen's speech?
It's extremely important because, obviously in this country we have an unwritten constitution. We have something which has evolved over time, and this ceremony, brings, the parts of our constitution, the Queen, the crown from which power always devolved in medieval England, the royal regalia, here to Parliament, and brings together with the House of Lords where she makes her speech. And it enables Parliament to enact laws, and there has to be some ceremony to do that. And this does it extremely well. And also, I think the public love it. I think,
yes.
It's part of our British tradition. It's something we're known for the world over. And I think, long may it continue.
Have there been some years which have been more memorable than others?
I've been doing it myself since 2002 because my father died that year. I remember actually when Jack Straw, in 2004, I think it was, he was Lord Chancellor. And after a lot of debate, we agreed that the Lord Great Chamberlain and I would stop walking backwards. To sort of dumb down and modernise. And of course, then that's what we did. We started walking forwards. And then, of course, as soon as we get to delivering the Queen's speech, dear Jack Straw walked backwards down the steps. So that was rather ironic. But no, the great thing is it's got a lot of tradition, but we're always tinkering with it to make sure that it's, it goes with the times, that it's appropriate, because ceremonial has to have its purpose. But it's a great ceremony, and I'm delighted to be involved in it.
And it's gone very well today, so you must be a happy man.
No, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Sian, thank you very much, and thanks to the Earl Marshal too. We've got time for some final thoughts here. I'm going to start with Jeremy. And what do you want people to take away from today's speech?
It was a spectacular ceremonial occasion, but the politics, from the Liberal Democrat perspective, is that we have a government that is pragmatic, that is practical, that is anchored on the centre ground, and we are dealing with the big issue facing the country, which is the terrible state of the economy that we inherited, and getting the economy back on its feet again. But we are also planning so that this country has a long-term future in terms of care, in terms of childcare, in terms of pensions, and I think that's the overall message.
Michael Fallon?
Well, yes, I think 3 years ago people wondered whether this coalition government would last. It is lasting, you can see that, and it's got plenty of energy left with serious reforms to help drive the economy forward, to tackle some of these long-term issues, but also to answer voters' concerns about immigration. We didn't talk much about that. There's a very big immigration bill and so on. But I think the overall message is the government is on people's side, it's here to last, we've got a big programme of reform, and we're going to continue to drive that through.
Caroline?
Well, we were promised in 2010 that we would have change, and we were promised that we would see growth and an economy reviving. What we haven't seen is that happen, and growth has flatlined. More people are unemployed, particularly young people, and those people who are unemployed staying unemployed for longer. And I'm afraid today what we didn't see was anything to tackle youth unemployment, anything to tackle some of the consumer issues around the cost of living. Very little in there about housing, whether it's in the private rented sector or building the homes that people need to buy, and that is a great missed opportunity.
Beyond the measures on immigration, it seems to me that few of these measures are likely to be the focus of the next general election. But there will be people who find they work longer as the result of pension changes. There's a little bit of protection for their savings if they need social care, that it is a little bit easier to get childcare. And the debate about whether those are the right measures remind us, I think, on a day like this, it's not just about politics, it's not just about commentary. Laws change people's lives, and there will be laws here that will be debated on long and hard in there from people with all politics and sometimes none, which will have a real effect beyond, as it were, the ceremonial we've seen today.
Okay, Nick, thanks very much. To all of you on the panel for joining us today, thank you very much for coming in. Well, that's it. State opening of Parliament is done for 2013, but that's just the start, really, of the great debate. As Nick is saying, the debate will start in Parliament and out in the country too. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage. We'll be covering, of course, the politics on the BBC News channel in the hours ahead, so catch up with that. In the meantime, from all of the BBC team at Westminster, goodbye.